My DJI Avata 2 review after I've been using the product for a couple of weeks. Many of the reviews that you have been watching or maybe already are made by experienced FPV pilots. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, but the common denominator is that they have prior experience with flying FPV drones. And for you that has not already taken the plunge, this is not the case. So I bet you'll be wondering, how would it actually be for me if I decided to take the plunge and buy a DJI Avata 2? If you are a FPV beginner, this might be the most relevant review that you've watched so far. Because I was a total rookie without any prior FPV experience before receiving the Avata 2. One thing that you would absolutely love with this is the Cinewhoop style, which basically means that the drone is being delivered with the prop guards that helps protect the props. If we take a look at the original DJI FPV, the props were basically exposed. So if you're getting into close proximity with something, it will probably wreck the drone and it will crash. This one can actually survive slight touches with obstacles because of this ducted design. And the earlier models, they all suffered very poor flight times. But with this new battery, it's actually possible to get flight times around 20 minutes as far as I recall for each of the 3 batteries that are included in the Fly More combo. And that's quite decent the amount of time when you're out zipping around with these. On top of that, it's pretty fast to get up and running. I did a test on an airstrip on a close by, closed military base. Someone tried to film me while unpacking the drone, as you can see here next to me. And I'm not trying to hurry the process, just to give you an idea how long it actually takes from you decide to open the bag and take out the goggles, then fire up the drone, and then finally firing up the remote, and then launching everything by this orange button by 2 taps for starting the motors, and then long pressing it, it will sort of make the drone airborne. And as you can see, it took in the area of 40 seconds from you decide to fly until you actually airborne. I think that's pretty decent. Even though that this drone was pretty new to me, I decided actually to include it in a client shoot that I had to do this last Sunday. It's not a picture, so you can do stuff. So the idea was to bring the FPV drone to follow some skiers that were going down this artificial ski slope. The camera on the Avata is capable of shooting 4K up to 60 FPS. You can go as high as 120 FPS, but then the resolution will go from 4K to 2.7K. You also have the option to shoot in a 10-bit color profile that's called D-Log-M that will give you a lot more freedom when you work with the footage in post-production. The Avata has 48 GB of internal storage, and you can extend that by adding your own SD card through this nicely positioned port on the side of the drone, where you also have access to the USB-C connection. One of the things that I noticed is that the video quality is not as good as it is on the regular DJI drones. To this shoot, I also brought my Air 3 to sort of establishing shots around the facility. But if you just look at the overall video quality captured with the Avata 2 compared to the Air 3, there's a huge difference. I know that the sensor that they have put in here is the same sensor that is being used in the Action 4 camera, which is a huge improvement compared to the predecessors. It heavily relies on digital stabilization to sort of take up all the movements of the drone, compared to the traditional DJI drones like this Mini 3 Pro that has a 3-axis stabilized gimbal. So as this is only a 2-axis gimbal, they would have to use a digital stabilization to compensate for the rest, to make the footage useful. Because there's a lot going on in the scene in combination with movements of the drone and the digital stabilization, maybe this is the reason why you can see sort of that the footage, if you look very closely, is not as good as the one that is being produced by the Air 3. I should probably have brought both drones to the ski slope and filmed simultaneously to make a comparison, but that was not the purpose of the task. But my unscientific feeling of this is that the video quality produced by the regular DJI drones will outperform what you're getting with the Avata, even though it's not bad. I should probably do a more structured comparison to elaborate on that. You can enable horizon lock on the drone, which basically makes it behave exactly like your regular drones, where it sort of freezes the horizon while the drone is moving around. If you need footage that does not look like FPV recordings. It's nice to have the option to be able to switch between FPV mode and horizon lock. And I will actually think that this would improve the look of the footage. I did not find a reason to use it during the shoot because I kind of wanted the shots to look a little bit more dynamic, FPV-like. One thing that is absolutely brilliant is that you can use the motion controller as a pointer inside the goggles to make your choices. So I've had to switch resolution, or I had to switch it in and out of easy acro modes or some of the other options that are available. I simply just press one time on the orange button and I will get a pointer that's available inside the goggles that will help me sort of point to the areas in the menus that I want to select. This is a very easy and very intuitive way to navigate the menus of your drone. So how did it go learning this without any prior experience with FPV? I was totally blown away how fast you actually learn to fly the drone with the motion controller. And it doesn't take you more than, 5 minutes to get bored in beginner mode and then switch it into, the full mode and start flying around. I managed to get from the stage of where I was totally afraid of launching the drone to flying with full confidence in as little as 2 batteries. Can you believe that? 2 batteries. These 2. That's what it took. So I want to say maybe 50 minutes from I started to play around with the drone until I was zipping around the parking lot trying out sport mode and all the other fancy stuff that you can get with this drone. So don't be afraid of that part. You would easily learn this, especially if you fly with the motion controller. It's very easy to adapt the speed with this sort of accelerator and then use the motion controller to follow any shape of the surface that you want to follow along. Trust me, you'll get the hang of this very fast. The more established FPV pilots, they all say to me, you need to buy the regular controller so you can learn how to fly the drone in manual mode. Because there's stuff that you will be able to do in manual mode, including crashing the drone. I might do that at some point, but for now I'm pretty happy with what I'm capable of doing with the motion controller. And I love the fact that the goggles and the motion controller can be used for other DJI drones as well, including the Mini 4 Pro and the Air 3. So this would actually allow you to use some of the other drones to address the video quality issue that I mentioned earlier, and still use the goggles and the motion controller to operate them. I would normally not buy an insurance for any of my drones. I bought a DJI Care Refresh insurance for the very first Mavic Pro drone that I had back in, 2018 or so. But since then, I never bought a DJI Care Refresh insurance as I haven't really crashed any of my drones. You might have seen in one of my earlier videos that I actually managed to crash the Mini 2. But this is the only drone that I crashed to an extent where it couldn't fly afterwards. Of all the drones that I've owned since I entered the hobby in, 2016 with my first DJI product. They are usually very reliable, and in case that it should go down due to some sort of malfunction inside the product, DJI will most likely help you out. So I never felt the reason to get it. But with a FPV drone like this, where you will get more and more bold when you're learning to fly it and maybe try to go through narrow gaps and stuff. Hey, man, no. Whoa. It might be a good idea to guard yourself against expensive repairs with a DJI Care Refresh. At least I'm considering getting one for this. If you end up in a situation where the drone goes down and ends up upside down, you have a built-in turtle mode that will allow you through the goggles to flip the drone remotely without being in close proximity. It goes without saying that if you damage one of the props, this function might not bail you out. One of the major concerns I had before entering the hobby, and the main reason why I didn't jump on the FPV bandwagon before, was that I have an eyesight that sometimes messes around with me, and I would, when I've tried goggles before, feel quite dizzy when wearing these. So I was a little bit concerned when I got the product that I would feel dizzy and wouldn't be able to fly the product. But I'm very surprised how easy it was to get adapted to wearing the goggles while you're flying. Maybe it's because of all the adjustments that are available, that you can you can tilt the goggles back and forward, and you can adjust the individual position of the lenses here. And you can turn these knobs and adjust the individual strength of each viewport. Maybe easier to adapt these goggles to my specific eyesight. I was very surprised how easy it was to adapt to these. And if that wasn't the case, I wouldn't have taken the chance bringing a product like this to a client shoot where I have to climb like a million stairs to be able to use it. And I couldn't just run down and capture another drone that was in the trunk of my car. Also, the advantage is if you wear glasses on a regular basis, you will most likely not need to wear those, as you can put in the strength compensation inside the viewports. And it seems DJI has included some extra lenses that can be used in case that you are using stronger glasses. It's also very, very nice that they have put on the power bank as part of the headband. As you don't need to deal with a separate power bank that you need to put in your pocket and wires and stuff. So that's a nice, very nice integrated solution. So that's a nice balance between back and forward because of the power bank. And but I do want to say, if you're flying when it's very hot outside, they tend to get very, very warm to wear. And then take them off if you don't wear them, because it's getting it's getting hot in here. Just take off all your clothes. I think the next line is, but I'm not going to do that. So let's go. Whew. Man, this is hot business. I don't know if they're warmer than the predecessors, or if it's just the fact that I've never flown really with goggles before. But I found them very, very hot when I was out in the sunlight. And in some situations, when you compensate and you turn them back and forward, you will be able to see light leaks around these rubber seals. It's minimal, but they are there in some occasions. Also, if you put them like this, they will most likely fog up on the lenses, so you will have like a very blurred view when you mount them again. But there is a defog option inside the goggles where a small fan is turning on, which you can enable by using the motion controller. And in normal conditions, it's not so bad, but I tell you, after I've been walking a lot of stairs on this ski slope, getting ready to fly, I was sweating like a pig. And then, of course, I was very, very hot in my forehead, and each of the viewports fogged up really rapidly. You know what I'm saying, yeah? Each of the viewports, they fogged up very rapidly. So I had to basically take out a cloth. I didn't have time to mess around with trying the defog function. How good that works, I'm not really sure. I managed to get through and get the shots. If you just plug in an SD card here, it would automatically record the UI of the drone once it's airborne. And the most beautiful part about that, it's an MP4 file and it's in 1080p that is directly to be used when you plug in the SD card in your computer. The screen recording inside the goggles only runs while you're recording video. And another really cool thing is that when you wear the goggles, you can't really see your surroundings. And that's not true, because you can actually double tap 2 times on the side of the goggles and you will be able to see through these 2 cameras that are positioned here in front of the goggles. Maybe that would be the test that will convince you that this is actually working. So you can basically fly the drone while looking at your surroundings and having the UI positioned in one corner of the screen. Unfortunately, that part is not included as in the screen recordings, so I can't show you what that actually looks like. Maybe at some point this will allow you to get around the spotter requirements for drones like this. I like the easy acro modes. They are fun to use when you're gonna show off the drone to an audience nearby that wanna see what it is that you're doing. Do I wanna use them on a regular basis? I'm not really sure. It's a little bit like all the functions that we have in the regular DJI drones, all the quick shots and all the easy stuff that you can use to show off the product. But I really use that as part of the client job. Maybe when I get a little bit more advanced and I have a little bit more experience flying the product, in combination with the 2.7K resolution in 120 FPS, it could be nice to include some rolls as part of the footage and then slow it down in post. But as a baseline, they are nice gimmicks and not something that I want to use on a regular basis. So the back, that is very nice. It's very roomy and allow you to, carry everything that you need in relation to your Avata 2. And a few more things. There's enough space in case that I decide to buy the regular controller on a later stage. With this strap, it fits nicely across your shoulder and gives you easy access to the product when you decide to fly it. The gimbal protector is also very simplified. It's a one-piece plastic part that simply goes on simply by sliding in it like this and then locking it into position. Very simple and very easy to use. So is it worth upgrading from the Avata 1? I can't really give you a straight answer to this as I have never flown the original Avata. But my gut feeling tells me that the improvements that you get, even though they are super nice, is not enough to justify an upgrade. But if you're new to the FPV game, the Avata 2 is definitely the one to get. It's less noisier than the original Avata.
Er det en Avata 1?
I know that because I had a chance to hear the original Avata 1 during one of our recent events in the Mini Drone Club, where one of the members, he brought the original Avata. While I did not bring my sound meter to this meetup, I could easily hear the difference, where the new one is less annoying. And this was kind of confirmed as I was flying the Avata 2 close to people during the recent client shoot, and nobody seemed to really pay any attention that a drone was zipping around. So that is definitely a good thing. Don't expect it to be quieter than the mini series of DJI drones. There's quite a difference, as you can hear in this comparison.
So, the Avata 2 is significantly more noisier than the Mini 4 Pro.
Apart from the standard field of view, the super wide field of view will allow you to do tight shots in 4K. That will allow you to capture more of your surroundings, which is super nice and something that I made use of while filming down this artificial ski slope. There are already an ND filter kit available. This one is from DJI and contains an ND 8, 16 and 32. They are very light and they easily snap into the front of the drone like this. Just note, those have to be bought separately. With this type of drone, it might be a really good idea to use filters to help slow down that shutter speed and introduce a degree of motion blur. Because when you're flying a drone like this, there will be a lot of motion included as part of your footage. And the filters will help smoothen that out. As a rookie mistake, I accidentally forgot to include on the ski slope, which could make the footage look a little bit harsh. This is how it goes sometimes. You probably heard about the 180-degree shutter rule in relation to motion blur. Trying to hit that exact on with an FPV drone, that doesn't really make sense. So no fiddling with manual settings with this drone. You simply slap on a filter and make sure that it's not too dark, and then it's simply off to the races. This will help slow down the shutter speed in general and help you make your footage look smoother. If you don't know what the filters are actually doing to the drone, I've made a quite comprehensive tutorial including real life examples that will show you exactly what the filters are doing to your footage. So what do you think about it? I liked it a lot more than I thought.
Chase it! Woo!
I was surprised how easy it was to get going, from being totally afraid to launch it to actually flying pretty confident in less than 2 batteries. Now you're probably all winded up and you're already heading to the description below and press my link to go and buy the DJI Avata 2. Before you do that, I do want to mention one important thing that you need to know, and that is that in most countries it's required that you bring a spotter along with you when you're flying drones that are being operated with goggles. The purpose of this person is that he can take over and maybe warn people close by if something goes wrong. So this is how the official rules are written. It does not take into account that you actually have a pass-through function in the goggles that will allow you to see through these camera views to see your surroundings. What you decide to do by yourself, that's up to you and not up to me to decide. I'm just telling you this is how the rules are written as it is right now. And the Avata 2 carries a C1 label to cater for the EU EASA audience. Finally, I do want to mention that I was sent this product by DJI for review. So I'm not going to do like a hardcore encouragement for you to go out and buy it. But everything that you see in here inside the video that you just watched is based on my own experience with the product. But by the end of the day, you would have to make up your own mind based on this as well as others' opinions if you're gonna pick it up or not. And if you decide to buy one, you will find that it's super easy. And if you don't trust me, then watch the video that I did where I filmed the entire process from where I got the product until I was flying with full confidence in sport mode in a location here close by. You can access this video through this card. I hope you liked this video. If you did, then feel free to give it a like. If you didn't like it, feel free to press the dislike button twice.